Okay, it's day 121. Sorry about, still don't have my computer, so I have to do this instead of slides for right now. But people are just really lighting into my last video. How could the Navy and, the Coast Guard and, the FBI, certain parts of the FBI, all be in on this like international, big time operation? And my response to that was, well, isn't that exactly the same situation that happened with Libya? Did anybody at the time know that there was a war, an overthrow of Libya being organized, or did anybody know that about Syria, or did anybody know that about Turkey, or did anyone know about it about Honduras, and so forth? And the gunner guy last night, who was on Jason's show, really explained it very well, which is it's very compartmentalized. It's very compartmentalized. The one thing you'll hear him say is that Navy is very big on cryptology and they're big on compartmentalization. Everybody just plays a part. They're like, oh, but the technical details of that. First of all, you'd have to fly all these lawyers or figure out some way of getting all these Russian lawyers in there to places like Miami. You'd have to convince all these sailors. You'd have to find sailors that loved beautiful Russian models. You'd have to figure out some way of getting visas for all these people that were coming in through some kind of investment scheme, like an EV5 type of investment scheme. You could compromise the ports of, let's say, Jacksonville, where there's a lot of sailors, and Tampa, where there's a lot of sailors, and Miami. So that gives you Southcom, SOCOM, and CENTCOM for all the international places you want to ship. But then you'd still have to have another place for the weapons shipping to bring, to ship the weapons out of. You'd have to have a deal with somebody like the UAE. You'd have to have a Russian manufacturer of the weapons who would be willing to containerize the weapons that you made, that you sent them. It would have to be something like a Club K. There's no way that could possibly happen. Then you'd need to have some kind of logistics. You'd have to be able to know about the Panda and maritime data awareness. You'd have to have satellite tracking. You would have to have DHS. You'd have to know about DHS's maritime awareness system. You'd have to have some kind of compromise of the Coast Guard. You'd probably have to take all that information, that geospatial information, and have some kind of chat to warn people. You might even have to send out codes over the internet with the NGA and the various other Twitters. There's just no way any of this could happen. You'd have to compromise key logistics areas for the quartermasters, like Fort Hood, and you'd have to almost have your own quartermaster school, like in Bethesda, Maryland. And there's just all the things you're saying, you could never take the Mena airport operation, which was just, a point-to-point operation between Mena, Arkansas, and the Contras down in El Salvador, and make that an industrial operation. You just couldn't do it. You'd have to do all the things I just said. Yeah, you would. Yeah, true. Very true.